Hi, my name is Elizabeth Strom, and I'm with Junior Achievement in Saskatchewan, and I'm going to be your facilitator today for Dollars with Cents. So let's get started. What is Junior Achievement in Saskatchewan? Well, we're a not-for-profit organization. We offer innovative programs that stimulate and inspire elementary, middle, and high school students to value free enterprise, understand business and economics, and develop entrepreneurial and leadership skills. Our programs focus on three key areas. That's financial literacy, workplace readiness, and entrepreneurship. So today in Dollars with Cents, we're going to be mainly talking about financial literacy. Dollars with Cents is a really great program that talks a lot about money and how to use money, how to understand how it works, and how to prepare for your future. So let's get started. Our first section is on money makes the world go round. So all of us use money in different ways, and the way that we use money reflects our values and our priorities. Regardless of your financial perspective, what you decide to do with your money will impact your future. So the way you use it today is going to impact the way your future is going to go. That's why taking control of your money early is very, very important. So that's the way we're going to talk about learning how to use our money now to secure our future. So if you can, please open up your booklets. You should have each been given a booklet. You can write your name on the front cover. That is yours to keep. And you're going to open it to pages 2 to 3. This is the money management self-profile. So on this profile, I would like you to read the two statements. You're going to circle the number that is closest to the statement that you agree with. So on the left, you're going to see a statement. I think that one's closer to the 1. So if you really agree with that statement, you're going to circle 1. If it's a little bit close, you're going to do 2. If you're kind of in the middle, like, I don't know, that's a 3. And then you'll see a statement on your right. And that statement should be closest to the 5. And again, you'll circle that number 5 if that's how you think about things, or 4 if you're sort of there, or again in the middle. Okay, so you're going to go through that, and then you're going to count all of the circles that you see, and you're going to come to a number. This is not a right or a wrong exercise, but this is a way of sort of telling where you are in your understanding right now about money. When you get a little bit older, kind of like myself, or a little bit younger in between there, you're going to probably seek out a financial advisor. And the financial advisor will likely give you a quiz somewhat similar to this one. And it's a good way to understand what your comfort level is and sort of where you are in the world with regards to money. So please take some time. You're going to pause this video and take some time to fill out that questionnaire, and then we'll come back and discuss a little bit of the answers. All right, I hope everyone had a chance to do the money management profile. Here are sort of the score key, if you will. And again, like I mentioned, this isn't a right or wrong. You're not testing or passing or failing, but it's just a way of gauging where you are. So put up your hand if you had over 37 points. Yeah, if you did, you're off to a great start managing money. If you had between 19 and 27 points, if you did, you're sort of somewhere in the middle. Things could go either way. Either you're going to really get a lot out of this, or maybe you're not interested yet, and you're going to find that this is going to be a great exercise for you. This is going to be a lot of fun. So now we're going to go on to our next section. Great. So we're going to talk about whose currency is it? If you now look at page 4, you're going to see a box with a number of different flags representing different countries. And you're also going to see answers that are the answers of what that currency is called. So currency is the official money of a country. It consists of paper money and coins. Each country has its own currency, which is overseen by the central bank of that country. So for instance, an easy one for us is Both Canada and the United States have dollars, but as you'll notice, each of those dollars is different. They're not the same. A Canadian dollar, the paper does not look like an American dollar. And I guess if you go to the States at all, you will also know that the value is different, right? So an American dollar right now is worth more than a Canadian dollar. So I'd just like you to take a few minutes to do the matching exercise on page 4 with your teacher, and then we're going to come back and talk about something new. Did you find that interesting? I don't know if you noticed, but there's a little bit of a trick question there. In the UK, they use both the euro and they use the British pound sterling. So that's an interesting one. You could have put both of those and had it right. All right, now we're going to talk about different methods of payment. And as you're going to see, there are some different methods of payment that are available for us to use. Some of these you already know and you're going to be somewhat familiar with them, but we're going to talk about each one individually anyway. And we're going to kind of pause through. You will have on in your workbooks, the next few pages, we're going to show you there the different methods of payment so you can follow along with me. All right, let's get started here. So the first one we're going to talk about is, what is cash? Cash is legal tender issued by the government. It comes in the form of banknotes or coins, and they can be exchanged for goods and services. So just like we talked about currency in cash, that's our that we're seeing those. That's the paper money that you see that you get given in a birthday envelope, or maybe you get an allowance, or you have a small job babysitting or walking dogs. That is cash. All right, let's see what the next one here. What is a debit card? So if you don't have a debit card already, that's the card that is linked directly to your bank. It's an electronic card made of plastic. It's got a little chip on it, which is what contains all of the information, and also has a magnetic stripe. It's issued by the bank, and it allows the account holder to withdraw cash from their bank account or to use money from their bank account to pay for goods and services. Like you see when you go into the store, there's a little debit card machine next to the cash register, and you'll see people putting in the card and putting in their PIN, which is their personal identification number. That's the number you don't share with anyone. That's your private number, and it is what gets you into your own bank account directly at the store. So funds are immediately taken out of your account. What is electronic funds transfer, an EFT? Well, that is when we transfer money from one account to another, either within a single financial institution or across multiple institutions. One example is direct deposit, in which payroll is deposited directly into an employee's bank account. It eliminates the need for checks and avoids potential delays caused by sending payments through the mail. So for instance, when I first got my job way back when, I would not get the money put into my account. I would get my pay stub and it had a check. And I would tear off the check. I'd have to go to my bank, put it into my bank, wait for that time for the bank to approve the funds, and then the funds would be in my account and ready for me to take out some cash. Now, what happens is, say for instance, you are refereeing for hockey and you will get money paid to you. Oftentimes, they will have a bank account, could be your parents or a family member, a parent or guardian, or it's yours, and you have a bank account number that you will give to the hockey association. And then when it's your pay time, they will take the money and directly put it into your bank. There's no need for you to physically deposit it. All right, let's see now. The next one is, what is a credit card? Well, this is an interesting one. A credit card looks a lot of times like a debit card. However, a credit card is a plastic card that lets money be borrowed up to the pre-approved credit limit. So that's a very big difference. Debit is taking cash that you have in your bank. This is borrowing money that you don't have. The money borrowed on the credit card must be paid back on time or interest will be charged. Credit card holders enter a legal agreement with the issuer of a card where the borrowing conditions are carefully described. Borrowing and payment history can be tracked by a credit bureau, and this history is part of your overall credit score. So it's very important that you are paying off any credit card bills immediately because you are borrowing that money. And say, for instance, you bought something worth $100 that you put on your credit card. Well, if it was 10%, you would now owe $110. And that would just keep growing the longer that you let it sit there. So it's very important that you pay it on time so you do not have any interest payments. What is a personal check? A check is an order written on a printed form that directs a payment of money from a personal bank account. The funds aren't withdrawn from the bank account until the check clears. This can take up to 10 days. So this is basically, for instance, if I, as a mom, I want to pay for hockey or soccer, I will often give checks to the team manager. And I have different amounts on the checks and they're written with a specific date so that the team manager, at the date that the funds are required, she can go to the bank, put it into the bank, and the money will be there. What is important to remember for me is that I must make sure I have that amount in my account. So I have to keep track of every check that I write. What is a guaranteed check? A guaranteed check is an order guaranteed by the bank. This ensures the account from which the check was written has enough money. Banks hold the money until the check is cashed. Therefore, the recipient is guaranteed to be paid as the check can't bounce. In the case of a personal check that we just talked about, if I did not have the money in my account, we call that bouncing your check. And so in this case, the bank has already certified the money is there and there is enough money and it's guaranteed no matter what. What is a money order? A money order is a prepaid document that is purchased at the post office for the transmission of a specific amount of money through the mail. What is digital currency? This sounds very sci-fi, and it is. Digital currency is an internet-based medium of exchange not controlled by any bank. It exists only in cyberspace. No country uses digital currency as an official mode of payment. Digital currency can be stored in a digital wallet. This wallet is a kind of virtual bank account that allows people to send or receive money, pay for goods, or save. Unlike a bank account, a digital wallet is not insured and transactions are not reversible. The supply of digital currency is regulated only by software and the agreement of users of the system. So if you have heard of Bitcoin, that is what digital currency is. What is mobile payment? Mobile payment is a means of sending or receiving money through a mobile device, such as a smartphone. Using this technology, a consumer can use a smartphone to pay for a wide range of goods and services. Mobile payment is being adopted all over the world. So now we've had a chance to talk about different methods of payments. So now we're going to move on to a new section. Now we're going to do an avatar challenge. So I'm going to ask your teacher to put you into groups. There can be 6 groups, and there are Avatar Challenge 1 cards. And on that Avatar Challenge 1, you are going to look at some of the bills that your avatar is going to need to pay. and you're going to decide which method of payment is the best for their situation. So please have a look at the page, take some time in your group, and think through things like, do they need the money immediately? Is it a small amount of money or a large amount of money? In the case of a check or money order, you may not want to be transferring large amounts of money by cash. You may want to do it by a money order or a check. And so these are the kind of things to think through when you're making your decision. So spend some time doing that, and then we'll be back with a new section. Now we're going to do the inflation activity that can be found on page 11 of your workbooks. So does $100 today go as far as $100 did 20 years ago or 30 years ago? No. And so the more people make money and more money becomes available, prices of items go up. This is called inflation. And so you're going to have a look and see what inflation looks like, filling in the chart on page 11. So you'll see there's a 3-bedroom bungalow, a 4-door sedan, means car, a 1 liter of gas, and 1 loaf of bread. The answer choices are on the bottom of the page. And as you'll see, there's a couple of the same numbers. So you'll have to think through there a little bit of where they might go. And remember, you're probably looking at a lower number in 1950 than a number today. So please take a few minutes to fill in that page, and we'll come back with the answers following. Glad you had that chance to get through. Did everybody get the right answer? Here are the answers to the inflation activity exercise that you just did. And were you surprised to see how cheap 1 liter of gas was in 1950? For me, what is probably the most remarkable is the price of a home. Prices of homes and of cars, I guess, have really increased over time. As we can see, the more people make money, the more money is available, the more the cost of things increases. So that is what inflation is. All right, we're going to move on to our second section here. All right, our next section is called Smart Shopping in an Online World. So we are going to talk about some of the ways to make good decisions when you're shopping. And right now, with lots of shopping turning online, we have to be even more careful. So we're going to have a few discussions on that. And why do we buy the things that we buy? What influences those decisions? So this is a very good question. I know for me, when I was growing up, what influenced me a lot was seeing what other people had. So as a young person, if I saw that the most popular person in school had something really cool, and we'll talk about clothing or shoes, then I would really want to buy the same thing. So that they had a very big influence. I would say that's called peer influence. So on page 12, you're going to see diary notes from a busy shopper. So I'd like you to take some time on your own to read through each of the little paragraphs. Those paragraphs describe a situation and how someone was influenced to make a purchasing decision. On the bottom, there's a number that correlates with what that influence was. For instance, in my case, peers is number 3. And so I would put that number next to the story that talks mostly about how someone made a decision based on the influence of the peers. So I'd like you to take a few minutes and go through, and then I'll come back in a couple of minutes and show you the answers. Great. Here are the answers to the diary notes from a busy shopper. Hopefully those are the same answers you have, although I think sometimes things are up for discussion. It's not necessarily has to be this answer or not. This is not a test that you're going to be marked on. So it's more to get you thinking about whether or not you found that person was heavily influenced by things like brand loyalty, or was it something that was readily available as they were leaving the store? It was right there. Those are the type of things that we're talking about. Okay, now we're going to move along to, are you a smart consumer? So I would like everyone to turn to their books on page 13, and we're going to go through being a smart consumer. So SMART is an acronym, which of course stands for stop and think, make a plan, ask questions, review information, and take action. Every time we make a decision in purchasing something, we should be practicing all of those steps. I know it might seem like, wow, that's a lot of thinking before I make a purchase. I just wanted the ice cream cone. However, the more you practice this type of decision making, the faster and easier it will become for you. I know an ice cream doesn't seem like a lot, but it might be if you are down to your last couple of dollars and you're going to need to make a decision and really set your priorities. So that's really important. So I'd like you to take a few minutes here. We're going to go through that with your teacher and talk through some of those points. Perhaps your teacher could also write it on the board, and you could just talk about some of the ways that you can stop and think about something, make a plan over how you're going to purchase this, ask questions. So there's lots of ways you can be asking questions about the product or service. You're going to review all that you know, and then you're going to take action. It's either you're going to purchase that product or service, or you're going to wait, or you're not going to do it. Great. So now we're going to talk about making smart choices, but we're going to talk a little bit about making them online. And there are some important things to keep in mind when you're online shopping. So I'm going to ask your teacher again. There are some online scenario cards in the kit. Your teacher is going to hold up a couple of them or all of them, depending on how much time you have. And you're going to talk through whether or not you would make a purchase from a website that was exhibiting some of these behaviors. So you want to know who has made the online purchase. Is it easy to tell a safe site from an unsafe site? Those are important questions to be asking when you're looking at some of these scenarios. As young people, you're probably very familiar with email and social media. So it is very important to keep our private information confidential and to make sure that we are not easily giving that information out. And we need to understand what makes a site safe. Well, I hope you made some important discoveries about online shopping scenarios or online scenarios. Now we're going to talk about how to know if a website is secure. So I'm going to play a short video for you to talk about how to know.
Whether it's buying shoes, managing bank accounts, or just connecting with friends, most of us depend on websites. Unfortunately, it's easy to be fooled by fake websites that are designed to give your money or private information to criminals. Thankfully, it's now easier to know when a website is secure. When you need to use a website to make a purchase or provide sensitive information, there are two big things to think about. The first is the connection from your computer to the company's computer. Your name, credit card information, and other things have to travel from one to the other. This connection needs to be secure so that criminals can't access the information en route. The second is knowing that you're working with a company you trust. If you're working with a company you trust using a secure connection, your information is safe. But how do you know? Knowing what to look for in a browser is a big step to using secure websites. Let's consider the connection we mentioned earlier. Secure websites encrypt information before sending it between computers. This makes the information completely unreadable for criminals. Only the computer on the other end can read it, making the connection secure. There are two big ways to tell if the connection is a secure one. First is the address bar, where you're used to seeing HTTP. Secure websites have an address that starts with HTTPS for secure. You can also look for a padlock icon in the browser. If you see the S and padlock, the connection is encrypted and secure. But what about the organization behind the website? How do we know it's not a criminal with a secure connection? Well, a new system makes this easy. New web browsers display color and company names in the address bar that help you know the site is trustworthy. It works like this. Organizations that depend on security can have their websites reviewed and validated by licensed, unbiased companies called certificate authorities. These rigorous reviews ensure the organization and website are trustworthy and using a secure connection. If the tests are passed, the site is issued an EV SSL certificate, and only sites with these certificates display color in the address bar, including the company name, along with the address. Green means go, red means stop. This review process means criminals can't obtain the certificate that's required to display the colorful information. So when you see a site with green info in the address bar, you can be sure it's legit. Now, if you're reading the news or checking the weather, security doesn't matter as much, so don't be concerned if you don't see the green bar or security information. Security matters most when you send sensitive information like credit card numbers, passwords, and private info over the internet. If you're about to make a purchase, your browser holds the clues. Look for the S in the address and the padlock to make sure it's secure. And if you're concerned that the site could be a scam, look for the green information. With these things in place, you can feel confident that your information is safe and secure.
Now let's talk about making smart consumer decisions on page 15. If you have more time with your teacher, you can definitely take some time to fill in that chart on page 15 where you'll see some scenarios and then you'll need to make the decision below. But now let's go to our next section, spending, saving, and sharing. Wow, we like all three of those things, don't we? Now we're going to talk about needs, wants, and goals. How are needs and wants alike and different? Well, both have cost attached to them. They are individual. Needs are essential, wants are nice to have. Where should your money go? What percentage should go to needs? Here is a chart that shows you saying 65% of our money should go to needs, 10% should go to miscellaneous, 10% to savings, and 15% should go to your debt. That meaning money that you owe on your credit card or as you get older, a mortgage or a loan. And then, of course, like we said, the rest is really needs. Why do needs, wants, and goals change over time? Well, changes in our circumstances, our goals, our values, our priorities. They occur based on where we are in life. Goals can be short or long term. What can a person do to be able to afford their needs, wants, and goals? Well, that's when we create a financial plan called a budget. But before we go there, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about needs, wants, and goals. And I'm going to get your teacher to do an exercise with you. I'd like her to pull out the needs, wants, and goals cards. I'm going to ask 3 of you to stand up at the front of the class. 1 of you will be a teen, 1 will be a young adult, and 1 of you will represent an adult. And on those cards are all the different needs, wants, and goals. There should be 1 of each for each person. I would like the teacher to hold up the card and ask the class if it is a need, a want, or a goal for either the teen, the young adult, or the adult. And you're going to see the answers in just one moment. All right, I hope you had fun. And I'm wondering if you came up with the same answers as we had. Here's the chart that gives you the answers for the needs, wants, and goals exercise. So the teen needs were a book bag, wants were a cell phone, goals were save money for post-secondary. A young adult was car for work, a want is a first home, and a trip to Europe is the goal. And for parents, a baby monitor is the need, a bigger car is the want, and saving money for children's future is the goal. I found this one hard. I wondered if you did too. It's not always easy to be able to understand the difference between a need and a want or a want and a goal. Now we're going to move on to our next exercise. Please turn to page 16 and try and fill out a needs, wants, and goals sheet for yourself. Think through what are those things that you need right now. What are the things you would want that aren't as important as a need? And what are some long-term goals for your future? I would say all of you would be looking forward to perhaps saving up for some post-secondary education, but maybe there is something else that you can think of. So please fill that in, and then we'll come back with the next session. Now we're going to do an avatar challenge 3. So on this one, you are all going to be in groups again of 6. There's different avatars. And now your avatars are going to need to do a project. They're going to be doing some fundraising. We talked about the best way of managing our money is to have a kind of budget or financial plan. So I'm going to ask you to turn to page 17 and 18 and 19. Your page 17 is going to be kind of a rough budget. On page 18, you'll see some suggestions for what things could cost in relation to your budget that you're going to make. And then page 19 will be your original budget. So please take some time in your groups to come up with a plan. And maybe your teacher would want to share 2 or 3 that she thought were a good example of how to make as much money as possible and to really plan for that. Because remember, whenever we're doing a budget, we have to make sure that we have enough money to cover our expenses before we can actually make money. The last thing we're going to talk about in this section is your credit score. And what is your credit score? Well, it is a way of measuring how good, how responsible you are at paying back money that you've borrowed. Here's a video to give you another brief description for you to follow what is a credit score.
So, you might be wondering what a credit score is. Well, I'm here to tell you. When it comes to the 2 nationwide consumer credit reporting agencies, a credit score is a 3-digit number which is calculated based on the information in your credit report. This credit score helps lenders get a better picture of the kind of borrower you are. A typical credit score range is somewhere between 300 and 900. A credit score will generally fall into one of 5 bands: poor, fair, good, very good, and excellent. There's no one credit score or credit score model that lenders use, but there are a few key things that you should keep in mind. First, lenders may use your credit score as one of the factors in determining how likely it is that you will pay back a loan. But they'll use a variety of credit scores and other information to get the full financial picture. It is important to remember that your credit score is a snapshot in time, and it varies by credit score provider, credit score model, and target industry. Second, lenders may also have their own criteria that they use when it comes to making lending decisions, and may take things other than credit score or credit file information into consideration, like your income. Generally, the higher your credit score, the better the picture is. because the likelihood is higher that you will demonstrate good payment behavior when repaying a loan. However, if you aren't happy with your credit score, there's no quick fix. But with the right tools, education, and habits, you can get back in the right place. We are here to provide the information you need to make smart financial choices.
So now we're going to talk about how to make your money work for you. Wow, that's a fun concept, isn't it? What do you think it means to invest your money? Yes, if you think that investing your money means how you're going to make your money work for you while it's sitting there, yes, that's exactly what it is. So we're going to talk about investment vehicles. And no, we're not talking about a car. We're talking about an investment vehicle that will help you grow money. Savings vehicles exist to help you save it. Placing money in savings vehicles can offer tax benefits and other incentives, usually designed around the specific purpose of the vehicle. Money in saving vehicles can then be invested in the investment vehicles mentioned on the previous page to make it grow more quickly. So please turn to page 23, and I'd like you just to review on page 23 and page 24, the different saving vehicles that you see there. And I'd like you to try and put a star beside the ones that you find the most interesting, and maybe you can discuss that with your class. On page 23, on the right-hand side, you're going to see funny money, saving money for an emergency exercise. I'm going to share with you a video, and then you're going to fill in the answers on the page.
That was Overdrawn, most requested song this week. And if your bank account is overdrawn and you need some financial help, you're going to want to call this next guy. Please welcome my homeboy, James Cunningham, the Funny Money Man.
Thanks, DJ Mike. Today's topic is emergency money.
That's a good topic, man. Everyone needs some emergency money, especially if they're driving a car. My ride broke down last month. The repairs cost me $600.
Exactly, DJ Mike. That's what emergency money is all about. Having enough cash on hand to cover an emergency. Look at these phone lines. Caller 1, you're on the air.
Hey, Funny Money Man. I just had a fender bender with my parents' brand new car. They're going to freak out if I don't get it fixed before they get back from their vacation. I don't have any emergency money. I'm going to have to use my credit card.
When things get drastic, put it on plastic.
Unfortunately, DJ Mike, that's what most people do when they don't have any savings put aside. But a credit card should not be an emergency fund. If you don't pay the credit card bill in full when it comes in, you'll have to start paying interest on the unpaid portion. And that's why I recommend everyone, including students, have some emergency cash. Whew, I sure could have used some when I was younger, like when I crashed my dad's car, I broke my neighbor's window, or that time I burnt down the shed in the backyard. Anyway, how many times has something unexpected happened to you that you weren't financially prepared for, like your car getting towed? Or you find a great deal on a spring break vacation.
Hang on a second, man. Vacations aren't an emergency.
Exactly. I was just checking to make sure you were listening. Caller number 2, what's up?
Hi, my name is Melanie. I forgot my laptop on the bus last month, but fortunately I started an emergency fund a couple years ago by putting $10 aside every week. I use that money to buy a brand new one. I've already started rebuilding my emergency fund with the money I'm making from my part-time job.
Good job, Melanie. As you said, saving for an emergency can be as easy as putting $5 or $10 into a savings account every week. And it can stay there until you really need it.
Man, I never thought of it like that. That does sound easy. And while the money's in the bank, it's earning interest, right?
That's right, DJ Mike. Caller 3, how can the Funny Money Man help you?
This is your father. You can start by writing out a check to pay for the shed you burnt down, and while you're at it, you still owe your mother and I for the...
Ooh, that's all the time we have for today. Until next time, remember, having money put away can really save the day.
So we learned that there's different kinds of investment vehicles. And what you're seeing on your page, on your screens right now is a page from a website. Your teacher could pause this video and look at the website, and you could try putting some of those new numbers in. Basically, what I tried to do here to show you is how to get $1 million and how long it would take. If I had no money, it would take me 48 years with a 5% interest rate. So we talk about rate of return for different investment vehicles, and we're saying 5%, and we're putting in $100 per week. And this is compounded annually. So that means the interest is calculated per year. So that would take a very long time. What if you were able to put in, let's say in this square, let's say you were able to put $500 in. Let's change this to month. And let's leave that and calculate. There you go. It would be, you'd have 1.15 over 48 years. But say you wanted just 10 years, you really want to be a millionaire. How much would you have to put in there? You would have to put in $77,496 is how, sorry, that's how much you would get if you were to only have 10 years to save and you were putting in $500 per month. But you can see that after a while that does, you are saving more than if you just simply kept that money and put it into your piggy bank. So here is this calculator, and I would encourage you to have a peek at it, and it'll give you a fun way of kind of thinking through how you might be able to save and get $1 million for yourself. So now we're going to do one of another exciting project. Now we're going to talk about the stock exchange on pages 25 to 27 in your workbooks. So first of all, how are we going? Stock exchange is so big and it seems so confusing. So we're going to play that, and how we're going to do that is we're going to look on page 25, and first thing you're going to do is read about the different companies. This is their annual report where they're going to tell you how they're doing and what they plan to do for the future. This is how we're going to set it up, and the teacher may want to pause this screen. This is each student or group will have $5,000 to buy shares. We'll leave it just at 5. I think that makes it an easy number. You're going to read the annual reports on page 25. You're going to choose 5 companies that your group wants to invest in. You may only buy shares in 1 company in each round. And you can't sell any shares until the end of the 5 rounds. So pause the screen now, read over the rules, and then make your decisions, either as a group or on your own. And then when you're ready, you can just continue and we'll go to the next slide. All right, so now that you've had a chance to pick your 5 companies, here's an example of how you're going to fill in the squares. So I use the example of Totally Tech Tablets Incorporated. After I read that company's annual report, I liked what I saw. You're going to spend $1,000. So after each day, you're going to fill in these squares. For day 1, this is giving you the amount of the shares. I spent $1,000, so that gives me $2,000. All right, now that you've had a chance to pick all your companies, here is the trading information for the end of the day. So I'm going to move over there. So you can have a see how your company did. So at the end of day one, Totally Tech was $2 and it kind of kept going. And then day 4, it goes up to $3. So you're going to make some money there if you invested in Totally Tech. Then you have the amazingly aromatic coffee company. And they lost a little bit of money here, but then on the last day they gained. And New Frontier Aerospace was looking really, really good. And then for some reason it went off. So you would have lost money if you had bought any of those shares. If you bought shares in Getting Greener, you would have seen a significant increase because you would have gone from $1.50 to $5. And you would have lost money on Fantastic Fresh, and you would have gained money on Mining for Millions. All right, I'm going to move to the next slide just to give you an example. So here's an example of the first sort of area that you're going to fill in. So I used Totally Tech tablets, and I spent $2,000. So they were initially $2 a share. And so I bought those shares and I spent $2,000, and that put me at 1,000 shares. And then at the end, I'm going to see that I went up to 3,000 minus my original. So this would be a gain of $1,000. So I hope you had fun picking out your companies. Here are the answers for the companies and how much each share was worth. So you can see here, Totally Tech started off at $2, and by the end of day 5, it had gone up to $3. So then you would have made money if you had invested in Totally Tech. In Amazing Aromatic Coffee, you can see here it took a dip and it went back up, but the end of day 5 was the same as the beginning of day 1, so you would not have made any money, but you wouldn't have lost any either. New Frontier Aerospace, you would have started by purchasing at $5, but you would have closed at $3. So you would have lost money with New Frontier. Getting Greener, you would have made quite a bit, $1.50, and it went all the way up to $5. Fantastic Fresh, you would have started at $2, and in the end, you would have lost. And Mining for Millions, you would have definitely made double what you started with, ending with $10. So let's look at an example of how to fill in the information on pages 26 and 27. Here's an example of how to calculate. So I use the example of Totally Tech tablets, and I'm spending $2,000 at $2 a share. I bought 1,000 shares, so that is $2,000. And here every day I've put in what happened to that share. You can see it went up. So at the end of day 5, I had 3,000. I purchased it at a $2,000 purchase price. So now I have a gain of $1,000. Hopefully that makes sense there of how you're going to calculate. So you'll need to go through each day. And the idea is that you've started one company on day 1 and then the next company day 2. So you only have a few days to go. All right. And now we're going to move on from there. I really hope you enjoyed having me. I hope that was fun learning about the stock market and other different things. But I hope you learn how to make sense with your money with Junior Achievement. And it was really fun to be with you guys. I know it's not the same as being in the class, but I really enjoyed our time together. And I hope that I will have a chance to see you again in the future with some of our other courses. And in high school, we have a company program where you get to start your own company. So that's even a lot more fun there too. Thank you so much for having me.